In this video, we'll see how to edit mass forms using push-pull techniques. We'll show how X-ray mode can be used to adapt shapes, and how to edit the 2D profile of a 3D solid form. I have the file Edit Mass open, and this file is a mass family that contains both solid and void forms that need to be edited. Being able to edit the individual faces, edges and points that make up a form allows us to easily create more complex shapes. Currently, if I move my mouse to the center of a face here, we can see that there's no pre-selection highlight, and in order to select any objects, I need to click on the edge of them. So looking at the status bar at the bottom here on the right hand side, I'll enable the Select Element by Face option, which means we can now move to the center of an object here and click to select it, rather than having to pick one of its edges. Once selected, we have the 3D drag controls available to us to manipulate that face. And going over the blue arrowhead here and dragging, it will constrain it vertically, so we can move this up and down but not to the side. And we can also edit the temporary dimensions here to make it more accurate, so I'll set this one to be 50 feet. The green and red arrowheads will constrain the face to the horizontal X and Y axis. And we've also got the planar constraints here in the corner, which means we can move it in both X and Y at the same time. I'll go to the Quick Access toolbar and just undo this last edit. And we can use these same controls now on edges and the vertex points too. So I'll select the back edge of the form here, and we can see we have those 3D controls again. And I'll use the blue Z-axis constraint here to drag this vertically up, and we can see that that's applied a slope to that top face here. We can also edit temporary dimensions to be more accurate, and equally we can snap to other objects. So I'll drag this one back down, and we can snap to the edge of the connected solid form here, so that we then have that top face sloping backwards to meet it. We can also use these controls to manipulate points. So on the corner here, we'll select the point, and this now will control the three faces that connect that corner. We'll use the green arrowhead here, and we'll drag this in, and we'll use the alignment tools here to align to the existing edge in the model. And we can come to the other side and repeat this. So we'll select this point and drag it in so that we have the alignment aligning with the face behind this. And we can see now that we've got quite a complex form on the end here, with it sloping and the edges tapering in at the top, resulting in some complex curved faces. We can also use some of the standard modify tools, such as Move, Rotate and Scale. So if I select on the inset face at the end of the model here, and then from the Modify Form ribbon on the Modify panel, we'll click on the Scale tool. And then for the origin point, we'll click on the end of the reference plane here, which is in the middle of this face. And then we'll click to the right hand side, and then we can drag this back in to make it smaller, and I'll type 25 feet in the dimension here to set that at an accurate size. And we can see now that that face is scaled in, and the connected faces have all tapered and stretched to take up the new form. Next we'll look at the X-ray mode for editing forms, and looking at the canopy that's been swept around the edge of the opening here, we'd like to manipulate this shape. So I'll select any part of it, just one of the edges here, and then go into the Modify Form ribbon on the Form Element panel. We can see we have the X-ray mode, and I'll click to enable this. And we can see then that the solid form is now transparent, and looking a little closer we can see the profile and the edges and points that make up that profile here. And I can select one of those points now, and this time we'll edit the temporary dimension, so we'll change this to be 1 foot. And we can see that that's moved that point in and has tapered the edge of the canopy here. And even though it's transparent, we can see that that's been applied around the entire canopy. So now with it reselected, we'll go up to the Modify Form ribbon again, and from the Form Element panel, we can see that we've got the option to add an edge. So I'll click on this. And now as I go over this end face here, we can see the preview of an edge being added in. So I'll click to place this in. And we can see now that it's prompting us to place more edges. So I'll click modify to finish this. And we can see now that we've got an extra point in the profile here. And I can now select this point, and using the drag controls here, we can drag this out to manipulate the shape of that profile. So once we've got it into the location we need, we can see that reflected through it all. Now with it selected, we'll go up to the modify form ribbon and we'll disable the X-ray mode. And we can see that now back in its full solid form. Looking at the main block, we can edit the 2D profile that makes up the end of this. So I'll select part of the form, and then from the modify form ribbon in the mode panel, we see that we can have the edit profile mode. So I'll click to enable this. Now I need to click the end of the profile that I want to edit, so we'll click on the end here. And now we can see we have the sketch lines of that profile. And looking up at the modify edit profile ribbon, we've got the sketching tools here. So I'll enable the line tool. And now zooming in a little, we'll start to draw away from the corner here, and I'll type in 11 feet for the dimension to set the end of this line. And now coming down at 135 degrees, we'll snap to the intersection of the vertical line to create a chamfered corner. So having got that line created, I'll click modify to finish. And now I'll select the line, and from the modify panel here, I'll click on the mirror pick axis tool and then select the vertical reference plane here to mirror this to the other side of the profile. So now we just need to tidy up the corners to create an enclosed shape. So from the modify ribbon on the modify panel, we'll click the trim extend to corner tool. And now we just need to click on the bits of the line that we need to keep to create an enclosed profile as we want it. So having got that shape, we'll go up to the ribbon here and click finish edit mode to finish editing that profile. And straight away we can see that new profile incorporated into the end here, giving us the tapered faces going up to the middle. So we'll repeat this at the other end of the form. So with an edge selected, we'll go back to the modify form ribbon and click edit profile. And again, we just need to click this end to confirm that's the profile. And this time I'll choose the pick lines tool. And now I can pick on the chamfered edges on the end that we've already done, and these will be projected into the profile. So having got those, we now just need to use our trim extend to corner tool once more to come and tidy up the corners and make that enclosed shape. And then we click finish edit mode to finish editing the profile, and again we can see that same profile added into the opposite end, and we've now got these chamfered edges across the corner here. Finally, looking at the roof here, we want to lower down the front edge. So I'll select the point at the top of the roof here. And we can see that we've got the 3D drag controls, but they're currently set to be in local orientation. And this is shown by the arrowhead being orange. So I'll press the spacebar on the keyboard, and that will swap them to global orientation. And now I'll just use the blue arrowhead here to drag this vertically down to the midpoint of this edge. And then once we've released that, we can see we've now got that slope coming across to the front of the roof here. And that gives us quite a complex profile, and also finishes the editing that we need to make to our mass.